Paul, why would you say gratitude is so important?
Gratitude is one of the greatest tools to building a winning mindset, because when you shift to focusing on the good, that allows more good to come to you, which will propel you to victory.
There's a great story related to gratitude about Coco Gauff. Coco Gauff has become one of the best young tennis players in the whole world, especially carrying U.S. tennis. When she was really young, about 14 years old, she almost quit tennis. And the reason why was she was under so much pressure to meet this expectation as this sort of child prodigy, the next big star of tennis, that she started feeling the pressure and didn't know how to deal with it. And it got so bad, she actually thought about walking away from the sport. But what happened was she shifted her focus toward gratitude and toward this idea of, rather than it being this thing that was pressure-packed, it was a reminder of what she loved. And she loved playing tennis. She loved being out there hitting balls. And when she shifted the focus from fear and anxiety and pressure of meeting expectations to just enjoying playing tennis, she stuck with it. She ended up that year going to Wimbledon, having a great run in Wimbledon, beating Venus Williams, and then later winning the US Open. So, you see how sometimes people are ready to quit, but if they find that they love what they do and they focus on that, they end up being just fine.
Well, it reminds me of a great story about one of my youngest sons, Matthew's great friends, Austin Osborne, in high school. And Austin's great receiver. Was in a little bit of a slump, and so I spoke with him, and he talked to me about how he was unsure whether he could live up to being a D1 wide receiver at the University of Washington. And I got him to zero in on the present moment. I got him to focus on the gratitude. So when he walked out on the field, he was looking in the stands, he was looking at the crowd, he was seeing all the people there cheering him on, and having an opportunity to play in front of his family and friends, and how cool is that? And so just the mental mindset shift into the gratitude, he let go of that pressure situation.
Right.
Can I live up to something?
Right.
And it turned out that very next week, he had 5 touchdown receptions and was Orange County Offensive Player of the Week.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's funny. Kids who are in high school who want to play college and maybe even have aspirations of playing pro, they built this thing up. And I think they don't realize that probably the best and most fun time of playing sports is when you're in high school.
Yeah.
Because you're playing with your buddies. You're
Right.
playing with people you grew up with, that you've known since you were a little kid. And it's just the camaraderie of going out and competing with your friends rather than just somebody you've now met recently. It's just, there's nothing cooler than that.
It's a great way to live life, not thinking about where I'm going or what it's going to look like or wanting something. It's just being in that moment and enjoying it, as you said, for the love of the game. And that's what sports is supposed to be. And I think people have forgotten that. It's all about the wins now today, instead of being in that moment of enjoying what you get to do and something that you love to do.
And the irony of that is when you're focused on winning so hard and you put that pressure on yourself, you inevitably don't play as well, and the chances of winning diminish. And if you go out and just play, and the whole flow state thing, where you just let it go and just enjoy yourself and go out there and be in the moment and play the game and just focus on that rather than, oh my God, well, look at the score, or if we don't win this game, we're in trouble, or whatever. You end up doing better and you end up having a better chance of winning. So it's sort of counterintuitive to not worry about winning to win, but it's true.
Well, that's what the term play means. Play. It's play.
Right.
It's not work. It's play.
Right.
We're playing. And when people focus in on that, they are allowed to move through the fear of like, am I going to play well enough? Am I going to be good enough? Are we going to win the game? Am I going to look good afterwards? Are people going to be proud of me? I'm going to be proud of myself. And it's not about that. It's just being in that moment that you get to do. You get to be a kid again. And you are a kid if you're in high school,
Right.
Even, in college, or even the guys in the professional ranks that play. They're getting paid. and it's a serious business, but it harkens them back to the days when they were a kid, and that's why it's so fun just to play the game. It's everything outside of the game that changes things, and it's changed at the higher levels. But when you're on the field, on the court, playing, it takes you back to your youth, which is cool.
And you know, again, for the kids who do have those aspirations to go next level, coaches can sniff that out. They see if you're on the field and you love to play. You can tell the kid on the court or on the field who loves to play versus the one who's kind of stressed out and trying and pushing too hard, maybe barking at their teammates. That doesn't go well with recruiters and coaches. What goes well is the one who's really positive, who's laughing, having fun, cheering on their teammates, and letting it rip and just playing. And so just discovering that joy of that inner child of who you were when you were 6 or 7 or 8 years old and you just went out and played is something that I would recommend to anybody at any level, but especially to high school student athletes who have aspirations or don't have aspirations. The idea is this is probably one of the greatest moments of your life. Don't let it get away from you by not enjoying it.
And coaches and parents should remember that. With
parents should remember that?
They sometimes lose sight of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because they want to feel good about their kid. They want the kid to feel good about themselves, and it's all about the winning. It's not. It's by the way, all these other experiences that you get while you're playing is what it's all about.
Right.
But if you are fearful, encourage your child as a coach or a parent to focus on the gratitude, because that will move you through the fear and get you right back in the present moment.
Yeah, and just a shout out to the parents too. Most parents are great. Most parents have it figured out. But to those parents who find themselves getting a little too caught up in it, same reminder. You're going to be watching your kid play on this level for a very finite period of time. Make it fun, make it enjoyable, make it something that you remember warmly and with great memories, not this idea that you put so much pressure on your kid to perform and reach this level of expectation that is reasonable or unreasonable or whatever. It's all about having fun, and that's what sports is, and that's why we love sports, because we get to play and we get to have fun, and it shouldn't be this thing that's pressure packed and oh my God, if I don't do this, my kid's not going to get a scholarship, and you kind of hear that sometimes, and it's sad because you're taking away from a joyful period of your kid's life.
I think one of the reasons people don't feel the fun in playing sports, even at the player level, parent level, coach level, is because everyone wants this certainty, this knowing that I have to know how the outcome is going to turn out.
Right.
I have to know my kid's going to make it. I have to know my kid's going to be okay. I have to know that I'm going to be okay. I'm going to feel good about my kid.
Right.
The coach, I have to know that I'm going to win enough games to not get fired this year. All of those things. That's not life.
Yeah.
Life is not certainty.
Yeah.
It isn't. We have to resist that temptation to, I have to know. Just let it go. Go with the flow.
Yeah.
I mean, Bruce Lee had the famous saying, be like water.
Right.
Be like water, right? And that's, we have to be adaptable. We have to adjust to change. There is only one thing we can control in life. There's only one thing we can control. We can't control the weather. We can't control the market. We can't control how our parents are going to talk to us, how our coaches are going to talk to us, what the fans are going to say, the fans are going to cheer, the fans are going to boo. We can't control anything. The weather, we can control our response to any given situation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny about, I'm going to go back to certainty for a second. So I love watching sports. That's why we've got a sports media company. So I will watch 7 games in one day. But the way I do that is I tape the games. And then I'll watch it on DVR, right?
Yeah.
And then I won't watch the whole game. I'll maybe watch the fourth quarter, maybe the last 5 minutes. But if somebody tells me the score before I watch the game, forget it. I'm not watching it. Because what's the fun of a game? You don't know the outcome. You don't know what that scoreboard's going to say at the end. And so I think, again, when people are entering into this realm of sports and this need for certainty, the need to know that they're going to win and make the playoffs or maybe earn that scholarships or whatever, that's the pressure. The pressure is that need to know. And they forget the fact that it's just, hey, again, it's supposed to be fun. Let's see how it turns out. And then, again, to your point about controlling, you can control what you can do on the field, but at the end of the day, the game's going to be won or lost, and then you move on. And it's okay. It's going to be fine, whatever happens.
The beautiful thing about sports is that it is the greatest reality show on earth.
It is.
Because we don't know unless you record it. And
right.
And
your friend texts you
then
the
you
score,
go back
and you're like,
You can be totally relaxed watching it, but what's fun about that?
Yeah.
So I say this about life too. What's knowing everything that's going to happen today, tomorrow, next day, next week, next year, whatever, in your entire life, knowing that this is exactly how it's going to play out. What's fun about that?
That'd be boring.
boring.
It would actually be boring.
It'd be so boring. So people talk about nirvana, like, let's go to some utopian society where everything's beautiful and wonderful. People talk about that in society. Why do we have the bad things happen? Well, we have those happen because then we can appreciate the good.
Right.
Okay. So there's a balance in life.
No high without a low, right?
That's right. There's a balance in life. So let's enjoy it, embrace the change, embrace the fun, embrace the present moment, and just live life being okay with not knowing.
Right. And then also, when it doesn't go your way, realizing the world doesn't stop because you lost a game, because you didn't get that scholarship or whatever. Things move on, and you end up finding later in life that those things that you thought were so important, that you thought were all the end-all be-all, that you didn't get, you end up finding that because you didn't get it, you went this way instead of this way, and later you go, God, you know what? This way was so much better than this way. But at the time, it seemed crushing to you, right? That you lost that game or lost that opportunity, whatever it is that you lost. Mm-hmm. So you just have to sometimes, and I have to remind myself this because I'm human. I wake up every day stressed out a little bit about something, so I don't have it all figured out. But I have to remind myself of that. Like whatever happens, it's probably going to end up better than if I just perfectly planned it myself.
And we have to live by this phrase. It's in the letting go that we receive.
Yeah, explain that.
So it's holding on so tight. This is the outcome I envision. This is what I want to see happen. This is what's going to be best for me. It's letting go of that. Again, enjoying life, being in the fun, enjoying the game, the present moment, and trusting that something better is around the corner for me.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give you an example. I got fired from my first job. And if I had not gotten fired from that job, I would have ended up in a career that I probably wouldn't have enjoyed. And because I got fired, I ended up going to, about a month or two later, I ended up at a party, saw a fraternity brother from college who had just started a magazine, and he needed an advertising salesperson. And so I'm like, oh, I need a job. So, I was like, I'll give it a try. And I ended up meeting all these great people who are great storytellers, photographers, writers, artists, and I found my tribe. And I never knew that I was a person who really enjoyed or thought about being creative. And because of that, I ended up embarking on a career in magazine publishing and documentary filmmaking and storytelling. Would have never happened if I hadn't gotten fired. But the day I got fired, I wasn't thinking, wow, this is great, I got fired. It was horrible, right? But it did turn out for the better.
If you do get fired, what you should be thinking is, thank you
to
the person that fired me, because I must have been on the wrong path.
Yeah.
And that's how we need to live our life.
And there was a part of me that understood that. It was almost like a relief. Oh, good, I don't have to go back to that job, right? So there was a little bit of gratitude, but there was also, let's be honest, fear, because now I'm out of a job. But it works out.
It always works out.